Hi guys, welcome back aboard our 44-foot boat-shaped sweat lodge that is currently leaking like a sieve. A while back I taped up a bunch of our hatches here on the deck that were leaking. That fix did not survive Hurricane Milton, and seeing as we now own this whole pile of fiberglass, it's time to come up with a better fix. A dry boat is a happy boat, and you can also say that a slightly coolish boat is a happy boat. So this week we're also going to be installing this mini split. This particular mini split was only, I think, $450 on Amazon. It is mind-boggling that you can get a mini split for that amount of money. Before we dive into the mini split and all of the leaking hatches, I want to give you guys a quick glimpse into our boat show experience, because I think you will enjoy especially the first bit of this. This was our second year attending the Annapolis Boat Show. It is a great opportunity to meet a bunch of people and see some cool doohickeys. And speaking of cool doohickeys, this was OC Tender's first year ever at the show. The OC Tender is, in my opinion, the best dinghy on the market and the inspiration for my upcoming DIY dinghy build. They won the Best in Show award, which is very impressive. The only downside to the OC Tender is this bastard right here. Please note that is said with a smile.
Hello, this is Mads and this is my little wife Eva. We have got a perfectly good bottle with a beautiful little white cap, but I think it's a little bit heavy. So now I'm going to resin infuse and redesign and 3D print this little bottle. And I'm going to make it so the whole thing is a little bit lighter. But don't worry, it's going to take me 3 months. You're a bastard.
We also met the manufacturer of the nets that are currently on the foredeck of our catamaran. We're still a long ways away from needing new trampolines, but it was cool to see their products. Right across from them was the Yacht Rigger booth and also the Arco booth. For the last year I've been sailing around with one of their Zeus alternator controllers aboard Athena. I'm very excited to use that aboard the project boat. Our favorite doohickey aboard Athena has always been our Rainman Watermaker. In the not too distant future, Rainman is going to be offering a fully automated option with a tiny remote panel. This is definitely what we'll go for aboard the catamaran. We also plan on applying copper coat as an anti-fouling. We've had great luck with it everywhere we've gone over the last 4 years aboard Athena. One of the many highlights for me at the show was our patron meetup at the ABYC. I thoroughly enjoyed hanging out with everybody, and our friend John, the president of the ABYC, even raffled off a couple of standards and study guides. Even though we missed a couple of our assigned booth times at the YouTube booth because of Hurricane Milton, the ones we did make it to were great as always. We also got to attend the Antares owners party and got a very warm welcome, despite us basically just owning a pile of fiberglass that still needs thousands of hours of work to be shaped into a boat. In short, for us, the boat show was...
Okay. All right. High five. Right. Nice.
The boat show was indeed pretty dang spiffy. What's also spiffy is the fact that the boat that used to be here is now gone, or at least 95% of it. So that means we now have better access to the catamaran, and also our mobile workshop has appeared right here next to the catamaran. The dream is to get our trailer here backed in underneath the catamaran so it's right there where we need it. But yeah, this is all that's left of the boat that used to be here. I don't know for sure, but from talking to the owner of the yard, I got the impression that the biggest value in some of these decrepit boats is actually the lead in the keel. I think he mentioned something like $2 per pound for lead. We're not super well organized in here yet, but at some point we will be. And for now, it's just awesome to have somewhere to keep all of our tools and stuff.
We went and picked up some plywood over at Home Depot this morning.
Yeah, shitty plywood. This is like my biggest pet peeve about the US. The quality of plywood here is just atrocious.
I've never heard Mads complain more. But we have been inspired by our friends over at MJ Sailing. They use plywood to cover up their hatches. They had heat shrink to cover the plywood. We don't have any, but we are going to use epoxy and paint.
Before we get murdered in the comments, I know you can get good quality plywood in the US. you just don't seem to be able to get it in Home Depot or Lowe's, whereas the equivalents of those stores back in Denmark, you could get at least decent quality plywood. Ayla's already measured up on deck, and it seems like if we cut some squares that are a little under 2 feet by 2 feet, then that will cover up our hatch openings nicely.
Remember how you all used to watch Sail Life for Mess's precision and accuracy? Well, that's all going out the window now that I'm in town.
Yeah, don't worry about that one.
Oh.
Why are you messing with that one? That's all you need to worry about is the safety and then the.
Oh, okay.
Right? And that is how we turn incredibly shitty plywood into waterproof incredibly shitty plywood. 3 coats of epoxy on there. These should basically last forever now, but of course we do need to protect the epoxy from the sun. So tomorrow we're going to get a bit of paint on here, and then these should be ready to install. Getting the boat all sealed up so we don't have any leaks is going to be awesome, but it's going to be equally awesome to have this mini split installed. I have installed exactly 0 mini splits in my life so far, so this is going to be interesting with a sprinkling of terrifying. My knowledge about mini splits is roughly as follows: inside bit, outside bit, connecty bit, and that's it. So hopefully this manual is decent. Why go with a mini split and not a window shaker mounted on top of a hatch? Well, I think this is going to be more efficient, meaning giving us more bang for our buck in terms of electricity, but also I think a mini split will be better at drying out the boat, but yeah, I guess we'll find out. With the mini split comes this 1-to-1 template, which is super awesome for mounting the indoor bit. The only slight challenge is we don't have anywhere where we can mount it, except if we put up a piece of plywood over here to cover part of the window and then mount the indoor unit to that. It is tempting to see if we could install the thing over here, but there is just not enough room for it. So yeah, this is gonna be our best bet. I'll swing by Home Depot on the way here tomorrow and pick up a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, and tonight I'll make sure to peruse the manual.
While reading user manuals really helps Mads to unwind, I have been needing a little bit of help, especially with all of the travel I've been doing back and forth for work. My sleep schedule has been completely off, which brings us to the sponsor of this week's video, Dream. For the past few months, I have been using Dream, which is like a little hot chocolate drink with natural sleep supportive ingredients. It's got melatonin, it's got magnesium, and I am telling you, it has been working wonders, and I have been sleeping like a baby, which is great because getting good sleep is vital for focus, which Matt says I could use a little bit more of, and for energy, which admittedly Matt says I could use a little bit less of. But getting good sleep is really important for our overall well-being, and especially important for all the energy that we're going to need for all this oh glorious sanding we'll be doing. I make it last 30 to 40 minutes before I go to bed, and it helps me fall asleep and stay asleep, which is really great, especially when we are waking up super early in the morning to get a head start on all the boat work. But honestly, what I love most of all is that I'm not feeling groggy in the morning like I do sometimes when I take other sleep aids. I'm just feeling awake and energized and ready to go. Shop early access to Beam's biggest sale ever when you click the link in our video description or scan the QR code to get 50% off. Do not miss out on this limited time offer. Discount automatically applied, no code necessary. Plus, when you subscribe to Dream, you'll get a free frother with your first order. Please do not sleep on this offer. See what I did there? Go try Dream out for yourself today.
Bright and early the next morning, we headed to the catamaran to get the plywood prepped for paint. We don't need these to look good, we just need them to last for the duration of the refit. I dug out an old can of Sigma-Dur 550 and applied 2 coats. That should do a good job of protecting the epoxy from the sun. Next up was the tedious task of removing all the leaky hatches. With a combination of a thin set of prying tools and a couple of box cutters, we got the forward end of the hatch to let go. The aft end was held in place by 4 bolts, but oddly enough there were no nuts to be found. Those must have been removed previously. There has been a slight change of plans. We accidentally left the manual for the air conditioning back at Athena, so today, instead of getting the air conditioning up, we'll just focus on getting the covers over the hatches. A little bit of this stuff does a great job of removing the little bit of adhesive left behind by the tape. Not surprising with the amount of leaks we've seen, we have found quite a bit of rotten plywood in here. This is a plywood ring that sits around this opening here, so that we will need to replace at some point. So do we have something interesting to say about cleaning up goop?
Interesting banter about cleaning up goop. I guess that's a no.
Yeah. We've cleaned the area around the hatch opening, and we've also traced the outline of the hole onto our plywood. Next up, we're going to put some little spacers on the plywood. As spacers, we're going to use little pieces of matches. They're going to be embedded into the sealant, so they're not going to get wet. The main reason for adding these is just so we get a thicker bead of sealant in there that's going to make it more elastic, and also it'll be a lot easier for us to remove the plywood again when we're ready to do that. To hold our little spacers in place, we're going to use some of TotalBoat's Total Bond Instant Adhesive along with the accelerator.
And Mads has made it very clear that I should not get these on my fingers and then hold my fingers together.
This Total Bond stuff is pretty freaking awesome for anything where you need to hold stuff together while you're waiting for other adhesive, or yeah, any kind of application like that. I'll definitely be using this stuff. So if you just touch these two together, right, we haven't applied the accelerator yet, so nothing's gonna happen. But then if we just go squirt, 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 then in a matter of just a few seconds, these are now stuck together. To seal around the plywood, I'm unfortunately out of the stuff I used from TotalBoat, so we swung by Home Depot and picked up this stuff. I made absolutely sure it doesn't say silicone anywhere on this, because that will come back to bite us in the behind when it's time to paint the deck. Smush! Tomorrow we'll come back and we'll add some fasteners down from the bottom of the plywood to mechanically hold it in place also. For now, we have lots more hatches to deal with. By the end of yesterday, we had all of the leaky hatches replaced with plywood. Now there is a chance that the forward hatch over here is also leaking, but that is our only access into that compartment. If that is indeed leaking, then, well, we'll have to install a hatch. The reason I chose plywood to cover up the other hatch openings is because if we install hatches there now, then by the time we're done with the refit, those hatches are going to look old and just decrepit. So yeah, hence the plywood. And of course, the main reason for getting rid of all the leaks is because of all the water down here in both keels. Next week, I want to get started working on the keels, and for me to be able to do that, we absolutely cannot have any leaks. It might not look like it on camera, but there is about a half a foot of water down there. With most of the hatches sealed up, there goes our chance to get any kind of airflow through the boat. If summer is any indication, then airflow is not really a valid way of cooling down this boat. We need air conditioning. So yeah, let's dig into my first ever mini split installation. As seemed to be the case with boat work, some amount of moving stuff around is always required. With our fiberglass removed, I got the plywood secured to the boat and lined up the template to make sure we had room enough for the sliding door. Before putting up the indoor unit, I ran the cable that powers it through the back. This whole bundle, consisting of the copper tubes, a drain and the cable, is going to get smushed through the little hole in the boat. The manual did mention to not install the outdoor unit in direct sunlight, but we can't really avoid that. I sealed around the hole in the boat with a tiny bit of spray foam. The only terrifying part of this installation was the copper tubing. The manual comes with torque specs based on the diameter of the tubing. After a quick run to Harbor Freight, I am now the proud owner of a digital torque wrench and a set of crow's feet. The thing that terrifies me about copper tubes is the potential for kinking, but luckily I had no issues. After having torqued the connections and wired up the outdoor unit, it was time to hook up Mr. Vacuum Pump. I left the pump running for about 20 minutes while wiring the inside unit. With the valve closed on the manifold and the pump turned off, there appeared to be no loss in vacuum, indicating no leaks. I let in a little bit of refrigerant, testing for leaks using some Windex. Having found no leaks, I removed the connection to the service port and opened up the valve to get the refrigerant into the system. With the batteries installed in the remote, I had to call in the expert to work the remote. This was the only part of the manual I didn't read.
Clearly I'm a noobler. How do you turn this on?
Well, guys,
There she blows.
cold air is upon me. I cannot with mere words describe how excited I am for this edition. This is going to be a game changer. We're almost done with the installation out here. Just going to have to secure this a little bit better and also bolt down the outdoor unit doohickey. We have neglected the board here a little bit. We are done with the tidying up and organizing. We now also have air conditioning, and yeah, that is about it. We are in the process of sealing up all the leaks. In next week's video, we're going to get started on this one, building steps, and I would like to also get started on the keels, even though they're not in our to-do. More precisely, next week I'd like to get all of the water out of the keels, because I think that's what's making the boat smell a little bit bad. So yeah.
Right, it's just the water in the keels that's making the boat smell bad. I also think that we could do just like a little bit more organizing.
It's incredible how fast it gets messy again in here. Yeah, a bit of organizing would be good. And on that bit of a reality check, we hope to see all you guys back here aboard the catamaran next week for yet more glorious DIY fun. As always, feel free to leave a comment down below, and don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video,
Please remember to leave a like.
see you.
Nice.
We did it.
We did it.
Air conditioning.
AC, baby.
Yes.
All right, let's move in.